one, and go. I actually think opposition has a very big burden of proof that they need to prove in this debate. That burden of proof being, they have to defend that the world will stay the same. Think about it. If you were born in the 1750s, you would believe that feudalism and the right of kings to rule every single land is the only way to actually ever experience society. But if you live to be 30, like literally 30 years old, in the span of those years, you would be introduced to the wealth of nations, to the birth of capitalism, of free markets, and of people living less as vassals and lords and more as free men capable of making their own decision due to their own self-interest. The theory of the great economic replacement is not something rooted in magic or vibes or like misguided assumptions. It's rooted in the cyclical trends that have already happened and have continued to happen in the entire lifespan of our human history. That was the entire point of Joseph, of which we've heard a very disappointingly small amount of engagement towards. I have three responses towards opening opposition and literally the entire broad-scale argumentation of how they want to win this debate. One, on the likelihood of the great economic replacement happening. OO says capitalism is incredibly rooted within the United States, and as a consequence, old men will probably still rule after Donald Trump and they want capitalism to stay. Firstly, I think this is just an assertion. The current candidates that are most likely to run are J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio, both not old men. Secondly, this presumes people not caring. Like literally, they don't feel the shocks of all of Donald Trump's policy and how it negatively affects their lives. I think this is just intuitively false for the sole reason of Zoran Mamdani's election and subsequent success as the mayor of New York. Him literally advocating for very progressive and anti-capitalist properties or policies have proven that an alternative can exist and can succeed, which can be source for inspiration for others to follow suit. And I want to really emphasize this specific point, right? Because structurally slow is not an argument against our point. We have 25 years. Yeah, we do concede that it might be slow because 25 years is a long time, and structurally slow does not mean structurally unlikely or structurally not going to happen. The extent of OO is to prove why capitalism must always win. The extent of opening government is to say that people are finding other alternatives and they are subscribing towards those other alternatives. That's the incentive that LO was trying to get at. Secondly, OO doesn't really have a response to any of Joseph's point. At most, they say people still want to trade with the United States. They still want to have a positive relation to them. Firstly, the main problem I have with this is that we're still assuming like the world of 10 years ago is this the world that we still live in currently. Like objectively, this is false, right? As what Joseph has already explained in his speech, the rise of like opposites and multipolar like literal countries and like massive empires have already existed, e.g. China, e.g. India, e.g. BRICS. There are already alternatives that exist and that have been growing ever since I entered the debate community back in 2021 or something like that. The point is, right, maybe opening opposition doesn't feel like the change is happening fast enough, but the change is happening. That's the entire point of the great replacement theory. Do you think the people in the 1750s automatically just lost all of the feudalism within their age? No, it definitely happened over a period of time, and as we can see currently, it already has happened given the current economic situation of the world. So the main point of our rebuttal, at least for this responsive section, right, is to literally just throw out all of that argumentation coming from LO and say, hey, all of the things that they're saying can prove our point given to the fact that it just radicalizes the environment even more. Extension. Let's talk about opposition case and opposition comparative, because in order for them to be in order for things to stay the same, e.g. in order for them to win the debate and to win this predicts motion, they need to make three very dangerous and illogical assumptions about the current state of the United States. Assumption number one, Donald Trump and the consequences of his second term will be forgotten by the time he is out of power. This is true because Trump has fundamentally changed how global capitalism has worked. No one trusts the US right now, and as a consequence, they have turned towards other alternatives like investing in gold, investing in the yuan, or turning inwards with their own alliances with their own regional blocs. What does this do for the United States? It does two things. The first is that a lot of the goodwill it has with its allies have currently been depleted. Literally a few days ago, Trump embarrassed Japan. They've been very antagonistic and untrustworthy of their allies. World powers will not forget that. The second is that it provides an easy avenue for how the current, like to change and advocate for changes towards how the current system operates. Because right now, people, even the most conservative middle class for the past 50 years, have been affected by the economy which suits them so well. They are being affected by oil prices. Now their families are being sent out to wars and conflicts they don't understand. The war has come from them now. This becomes their incentive to change. I'll take the POI go.
Why do you think the system of capitalism did not collapse after the Great Depression?
Dude, like it's probably because of the fact that like FDR or some of the leaders there, right? The point is, wait, actually no, I have a better answer to that. Capitalism did change. Capitalism did change, and it did get heavily relegated as a consequence of the Great Depression happening. Like the form of capitalism that we like know of right now has significantly changed from the capitalism before the Great Depression. What we have proven and what we have talked about is that the comparison of other people like Zoran Mandami or like the very progressive Democrats that have existed within the Democratic Party that are currently leveraging and gaining support as a consequence of Donald Trump being severely unpopular in the United States right now has affected how capitalism is portrayed and how capitalism will be portrayed in the next 25 years. Again, it's a very, very big burden of proof to assume that in the next 25 years, capitalism will continue to be the same. Capitalism will continue to be in the same form that it has been, when as we've seen right now, we've already begun to feel the shocks of it. It's not going to be the global capitalism that we once knew. I think Joseph has been very, very good in proving that point. For all of those reasons, very, very proud to propose.